Welcome back to the Higher Form Podcast. We're here every week having real conversations with leaders, coaches, and everyday people about what it takes to become your best. We know life will test you, and we're here to share practical tips, tools, and relatable stories to help you build the highest form of your life. This week's episode, we're diving into 4 non-negotiables for longevity. I'm your host, Nick.
I'm Britni.
And we're excited to dive into another non-negotiable series topic with you guys.
Yes, this is our third in our series of non-negotiables.
Yeah.
So the first 2 were 4 non-negotiables for fat loss, and then the 4 non-negotiables for building strength or
Correct.
mass.
And I think the reason we went with these 3 different topics to kick it off is those are really the main 3 things that we see people looking for in our business at Avexia Health and Performance. Most people are looking to lose fat, build muscle, and improve their quality of life and live longer, and not just improve how long they live, but improve their health span too. So I think that's a good place for us to start, is just talking through, health span versus lifespan.
Yeah, and just the quality of life that you're living and how you feel on a daily basis.
Everything from your energy to your mobility to your capacity to do things that you want and live the life that you want in the way that you want.
Yeah.
So many people get limited in their experience of how they get to take life in and the things they get to do, and the way they navigate just based on limitations that come up.
Yeah, and before this started, we were just chatting about, as you age, you want to be able to do things by yourself for as long as you can, right? Limiting how much you need help as you continue to age.
We even looked into some stats this time around just to have a little bit more concrete data around some of the different topics and concepts behind what we are going to be discussing. And we found a statistic that 43.9% of adults 65 plus will report a disability that limits independence. And it's kind of crazy to think about, because that's about the time that people are like retiring and they're supposed to be letting go of all the stresses and settling into what most people would call the golden years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're not physically independent at that point in time.
I don't know what the typical age is for how long people live, but if you're 65, you still got at least 20, 30 years of life left.
Yeah, I think probably somewhere around 75 to 85, probably closer to 85 in the US. Depends on where you're at in the world, obviously.
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure what that number is.
I think it's probably somewhere around 84 if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Someone will fact check.
Okay, so you still have like 20 years of life left.
That's a quarter of your life, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Still lots of time left to really get into it. And I think that this is important to understand, that what you do in your 20s affects your 30s. What you do in your 30s affects your 40s, 40s, 50s, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that we'll rehash a couple of times. Being healthy in your 40s starts today if you're in your 20s. When you want to be healthy in your 60s, you need to start now. And that doesn't mean that it's ever too late to start.
Yeah. Just because you're 45 now doesn't mean you can't start now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's no such thing as being too late to the game. But if you have control over it, the earlier you start, the easier it gets. And we'll talk a lot more about why that's the case as we get further into some of these different topics.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. So we'll go ahead and dive right into the first one. And number 1 is strength and muscle preservation. You'll hear a lot of people, especially today's day and age, are starting to get a lot more awareness around the importance of muscle mass, but talking about how muscle is essentially the currency of longevity. It's going to protect your bones, your joints, your independence. It's going to give you energy, capacity. Obviously, there's an aesthetic piece to that too. Sexy is strong, strong is sexy,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to feel strong as you continue to age. So you, again, are capable of taking yourself from one place to another and not needing help going up the stairs or whatever, right?
And keeping in mind that muscle mass loss starts really about the time we hit in our 30s, and every decade beyond that. Another stat for you is from 30 years and on, every decade it's said that, this is a study from the NIH, that adults lose 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade from 30 on. So if you say 5% a decade, somewhere in the middle of there, you're going to lose 5% from 30 to 40, from 40 to 50, from 50 to 60. That's why we said it starts early. And it's not that you can't make progress in those years, but if you want to prevent it, that can be contradicted or counteracted, I guess you could say, by getting in the gym, lifting weights.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously building muscle is beneficial, but even just like maintaining muscle. So like staying active enough to just preserve what you have versus building if it's too, doesn't make sense to build or it's too late or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, maybe you listened to the episode that we talked about for building strength. Maybe you didn't. Building strength and building muscle are a little bit of different things. Obviously, the more muscle mass you have, the more capacity you have to be strong.
Yeah.
But that's where we talk about like functional strength is, tapping into the efficiency of the muscle you do have, where structural strength is really what we're leaning into right here.
Yeah.
Because you got to have the structural support to really move the vehicle that is your body.
Yeah, and so I guess that's not just muscle. It's, I mean, which we'll get into, but like
Yep.
your joint capabilities and your mobility to move appropriately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brittany's getting a little teaser out from one of the
Yeah,
other
yeah, sorry. Well, it all
non-negotiables.
ties in together,
For
so it's
sure.
not out of range.
So let's talk a little bit about how to build strength depending on where you're at, right? Because this is going to look different for someone who's 30 years old with maybe less limitations versus someone who is maybe in their 50s or 60s and
Yeah.
already has some aches and pains or limitations.
Yeah. So, as in, what's the recommendation
Yeah.
of how to build strength?
Yeah, where do we start?
I mean, exercising 2-3 days a week, step number one.
Yeah.
You gotta start moving. You gotta start lifting. You gotta start strength training. Obviously, moving and walking and yoga and things are great, but like you need to start strength training to challenge the muscle and build the muscle or preserve the muscle.
One of the things that we'll use with clients a lot is RPE or reps in reserve. So RPE would be rate of perceived exertion, a level of difficulty from scale 1 to 10. Reps in reserve is kind of something that you can play along with that. So say something is an 8 out of a 10 in difficulty for you for RPE, that would typically lean into being something that you maybe have 2 reps in the tank or reps in reserve.
Yeah. So say you're doing a bench press and the goal is to get 10 reps. What does like reps in reserve mean for that? Like,
Yep. That would mean picking a weight that allows you to do it for 10 reps, but you could do it for 12. You
Okay.
leave 2 reps in reserve or in the tank.
like you have more in you even after the 10.
Yep.
But you
And
don't do
sometimes
them.
that's hard to feel out. Like if you don't have a whole lot of training experience, you're not going to be like, whoop, think I got 2 left.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's part of practicing, right? Training is not perfection. Training is learning and growing and feeling and thinking and adapting to what that might look like. So grab a weight that you know for sure you can do for 10 reps and it's not going to completely wipe you out,
Yeah.
whether it's a squat or a bench or whatever the exercise might be.
Yeah.
But then turning around and adapting that as you go into your second set or third set or fourth set or other exercise or week by week or month by month.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where programming comes into play, right? Is learning what
and
those
keeping
numbers
tabs
are
on
for
what
you.
you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, tracking and following
Yep.
strategic programming.
Which were big parts of what we talked about last time. So
Yeah.
a lot of the actionable items for this are going to be things that we've covered in previous episodes. But for those that didn't get a chance to tune in on those or haven't yet, it's challenging yourself at about 80% of your intensity or your capacity. You don't have to go into the gym and be sore as hell every time you leave. It's
Yeah.
working at about 80% of your total effort. And then prioritizing protein's another big one because it's not just building the muscle in the gym, it's building it through your recovery and your nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making sure that you're getting somewhere around a gram per pound of body weight. We've talked about that before.
And I think the older you get, yeah, you want to be more on the higher end of what to eat than opposite because naturally you are going to lose
Correct.
muscle mass just because of life.
Yeah, you're fighting the odds
Yeah,
as you get further along. So it definitely becomes even more of a priority.
the older you get.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then not overcomplicating the process. Like you had talked about, you just got to get moving.
Yeah.
A lot of the basic movement patterns that you'll find are going to be best to build strength in are a squat, a lunge, pushing horizontally and overhead,
Yeah.
pulling horizontally and overhead,
Yeah.
doing a hinge or a deadlift type of pattern, rotating. So anything that's going to get you twisting, anything that's going to get you moving laterally. So like lateral raises, side lunges, side shuffles, things like that will be helpful. And then you can start to add in accessories, things that target more specific muscle groups, really hitting more isolated bodybuilding style movements to target your back or your chest or your
Yeah.
quads, your glutes or whatever it might be.
Just trying to hit your full body in a variety of ways multiple days a week.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the basics, you want to focus more, especially when you talk about longevity, more on functional patterns than you would specific muscle groups.
Yeah.
If you train only like a bodybuilder, you might find that you don't have the ability to move into some of these different patterns. So it's important that if you're training and strength training for longevity, 100% you should be prioritizing movement patterns before muscle groups.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't do them, but number one thing would be movement
Make sure
patterns.
you're hitting the different movement patterns. And then if you have accessory work, sure,
Yep.
isolate specific muscle groups if you want to.
Another big piece of this too is strength training is going to be something that will help improve other areas for longevity too, not just the structural, but your energy.
Yeah.
As you get older, you have more stress in your life. A lot of times people run into, especially as you get into like that midlife, late 30s, 40s, 50s, you've got kids, you've got a business or a job, you've got aging
Family.
parents
Yeah.
that
Yep.
you have to start taking care of. So now you're caught in the middle of all these different things, and being able to have the strength, not just physically, but that carries over to mental strength too, to handle all that stress, I think is important as well. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you got a lot on your shoulders. So if you're taking care of your physical self, it's going to be easier for you to mentally manage all the other things and stressors that you're going through in your life.
correct.
Yeah.
Strength and muscle prevention, that's non-negotiable numero uno.
Yeah.
Number two.
Number two, cardio, conditioning, cardio and conditioning.
Yeah, I think they're interchangeable words. You know, people get
Yeah.
these mixed up a lot. When I hear cardio, I think of like stuck on a treadmill and just going to go.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, it's all contextual and how you speak to it, but we use the term conditioning a lot here because it seems a little less boring, and
Yeah.
there's a lot more variety because there are different energy systems you're working toward improving.
Yeah.
And cardiovascular exercise is really talking specifically to the benefit of how that helps with your heart and your veins and arteries and your cardiovascular system, where conditioning kind of speaks to the collective piece of how am I training all of the benefits associated with doing some form of cardiovascular exercise or conditioning my body to different energy demands.
Yeah. Well, and so that goes to discuss what type of energy system is best because, a lot of people will do like a HIIT style of training or they'll go out for a 3 mile run because they hear it's good for them,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they just go all intense. What's the best style of cardio or conditioning for generalized health?
I think it's all scalable. You've got to look
Yeah.
at you got to look at where you're at now. Everything is specific to who you are and what situation you're in.
Yeah.
If you're not doing any cardiovascular exercise, nothing that gets your heart rate up at all, step one, like you said with strength training, is like pick up some weights. It's like get your heart rate up.
Just move. Yeah.
Just move. From there, when you start to get a little bit further into it, general recommendations are around 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise a week. And so that could be broken down into a lot of different ways. Let's say that you split that up into 3 50-minute sessions.
Mm-hmm.
One of those sessions should probably be something a little bit more vigorous, but the other two a little bit more low intensity. When you break down cardiovascular exercise and conditioning into different energy systems, you have your aerobic energy system, which is going to be what most people would consider like low intensity. If you went off of heart rate zones, this is like zone one, zone two.
Yeah.
You have your anaerobic system, which would be more like zone three, zone four.
So zone one and zone two would be kind of like walking or a slow
Incline walking, slow
jog.
jog,
Okay.
biking,
Yeah.
and a lot of it depends on where your fitness level is
Yeah.
at. Because jogging for some people is a zone three or zone four exercise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why running is tough because people are like, is it good to run? And I'm like, where's your heart rate at when you do it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of runners, especially people who aren't serious runners, are running with a pretty high heart rate.
Yeah.
We've experienced this. We've been training for a high rocks, and
Yeah.
a lot of the running we've done has not been base cardio
Yeah.
because we're trying to improve to get to a level of performance, not so much focus on the cardiovascular benefits.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even for me to do like a low zone two or like base training day, an incline walk is going to get me there and keep me there better.
Yeah.
Or a bike ride is going to keep me there better than going out and doing a really obnoxiously slow and boring jog.
Yeah.
Even then, I'm still probably in a higher aerobic zone, something that's maybe like zone two, zone three.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, it's easy. I'll get lost in the
Yeah.
in
There's
the
a lot of
detail, right?
nuance and there's a lot of variables too.
But start with
That.
moving more.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not moving more, that can end up being more steps per day. Shoot for the old 10K a day.
Yeah.
And then you can start to get into like, all right, well, am I doing intentional cardiovascular exercise? Then once I get that done 2-3 days a week, and I can start to look at like, all right, now I need to really get zoned in on specifics. And if
Yeah.
you're doing 3 days, make one of them high intensity and the other two moderate to low.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ways to do that is do one day that's more steady state at a low intensity. Do a day that's like moderate to low intensity intervals where you work moderately hard for a little bit and then you walk or recover.
Yeah.
And then have one day where you're either keeping a high pace for a shorter period of time. So it'd be like high steady state, but shorter duration,
Mm-hmm.
or high interval peaks with long recovery gaps in between.
Yeah. So just variety and how you're getting your cardio and conditioning in is good.
Yeah, it's crucial because you got to think. We talked about aerobic energy systems, anaerobic energy systems, and then creatine phosphate system, which is like your super high peak power output.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are going to change in how it improves your heart health and your performance. The energy system side, it's going to help make sure that you're in a position where you know how to tap into that. Say, for example, I'm in a situation in my life where I have to get into a fight or flight and I have to act quick and fast and powerful, and I have a short window of time to make a decision
Yeah.
and go. That's the high intensity energy system.
Yeah.
Say I need to run from my neighbor's Rottweiler that got out, and that's a 3 minute run
Yeah.
or a 5 minute run to get to safety or whatever it might be. Like that's going to be an anaerobic system,
Yeah.
or if it's, hey, I got to survive a hike because I got lost somewhere and I can't figure out how to get back. That's an aerobic system, right? So you got to think about these things, longevity from the stance of being able to handle it. And that's the whole goal, is put myself in a position to handle whatever life puts in front of me.
Yeah, I don't have the exact stat, but I think it was like the percentage of people after 30 who ever sprint ever again was like so low. Like it was atrociously low.
Think about how many people get hurt in rec sports leagues pulling their hamstring because they sprinted for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I
I
mean.
mean, it
Yeah.
happens all the time. I broke my
Yeah.
ankle playing basketball.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have the strength or the endurance to handle those types of things.
Yeah.
And it's really especially tough when you've associated as an athlete at one point in
And
your
you,
life or
you've
another.
gone like 10 years since you've like ran or sprinted
Yeah,
at
let's say that
all.
you were an athlete, maybe even into college or even just in high school and recreationally, and
Yeah.
you've always considered yourself someone athletic, and then you get a desk job out of college.
Yeah.
You've been sitting at a desk for 10 years and you've worked out moderately, you've lifted some weights, but you haven't done any intentional conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's time to step in and perform. Mentally, it's still there.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I can
Physically,
do it.
yeah, I got it. I'm good. I'm an athlete. Come on. You get out and do it, and then bink,
Yeah.
pull a hamstring, or
Yeah.
you strain your hip or a calf, or something happens, and you're like, damn, why did that happen? You haven't
Yeah.
conditioned to it.
Yeah.
You haven't trained that environment.
Yeah.
And so there's two sides to this. Like we'd said, that's why it was cardio and conditioning.
Yeah.
It's conditioning to a specific stimulus. But on the cardiovascular side, when you go back to those different intensities, get a little bit further in on the weeds on this, but like one of the most interesting classes I ever took in college in my exercise science degree was cardiovascular physiology.
Yeah.
And they talked about everything from heart rate to stroke volume and all the other different like technical terms around how your heart works. The more my heart pumps, the more blood it's pushing out. The harder my heart pumps, the more blood it pushes out. So it's frequency and power of pumps. And if you think about this, if you're not training something high intensity, that's the power of
Yeah.
the pump or the frequency of the pump. So different types of energy systems or different types of cardiovascular exercise you can really zero in and figure out like, man, my heart rate's high, my stroke volume's high, my cardiac output's not good. Like there's so many ways to get
Yeah.
deep on
Yeah.
this stuff.
Totally.
So if you're looking to optimize, like that stuff is really cool to look into. But you got to think that there's two sides of it. Do I handle the energy system that's in demand? Is my heart healthy enough to do it? And you only get so many ticks. So
Yeah. Yeah.
take care of the thing that keeps you beating and
So
moving.
train so you can manage and handle situations if you come about them,
Yeah.
right?
And I think a lot of people overlook cardiovascular exercise for heart health. A lot of people think about it as doing cardio for fat loss.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And it's like, no, you only get one heart.
Well, and even if you're not looking for fat loss, let's say you're just looking to just be healthier or even put muscle on, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing some form of conditioning or cardio.
For sure. On the muscle side of it, it's going to help improve mitochondrial density, which is going to help improve recovery, ATP, energy, all those things. So
Yeah.
doing a form of cardio is mandatory for longevity and performance.
Yeah.
It's one of those, yeah,
Little
go ahead.
science class here.
Oh, I know. I'm telling you, tapping into all the old school things that never leave your brain. You only use them when it's time to use them.
Yeah.
Another stat here, regular aerobic activity levels reduced heart disease risk by 30% and all-cause mortality by 20 to 30%. Kind of crazy, right?
So do your cardio and conditioning
Got to get moving.
once or twice a week. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
No.
You got to get it in.
Yep. I know we said 3 would be optimal. You can integrate it in with your strength.
Well, that's what I
That
mean.
could
Like,
be walking. Like walking can be zone 1.
yeah, that's
you
what
know?
you strength train 2 to 3 times a week. You do cardio a few times as well, whether that's on a strength day or not. Just getting it in somewhere, somehow.
For sure. And another thing too, when you start to look at these two non-negotiables, one of the first things you'll hear from people is, I don't have time to do all of that.
Yeah.
Well, which one is the lower, like, hanging fruit? Like, which one is the one that needs more support? That's where it's going back to assess. Am I either weaker and not structurally as strong? Or do I not have enough conditioning or cardiovascular health to get me where I want to be? Which one is going to be a bigger limiting factor?
Start there first.
Put more time into that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Because it's going to be hard to do it all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Number 3.
Proprioception and mobility.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you said it perfect. Proprioception is like balance, stability, body awareness. It's your ability to understand where you're at in space.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest reasons that older individuals have a hard time maintaining their health is falls.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the leading causes of injury and death in older adults is from falls.
Yeah.
So improving strength, balance training, all the things that will improve proprioception and keeping your joints healthy and working appropriately can reduce that risk by 30% or more.
Balance and stability, being able to catch yourself before you fall or being able to get up after you fall,
Yep.
right? Because you might fall, but can you get yourself up after that? Yeah.
Yeah, and this is even a precursor to strength a lot of times too, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be strong, you have to be stable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be able to handle a certain level of endurance, you have to have strength and stability.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard to go out and do a lot of cardiovascular exercise if you can barely stay on your feet without losing balance, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
This is generally at the bottom of the training periodization table. You think about like the OG NASM optimal periodization table that they talk about, OPT model, where it's like
I wasn't
stability,
certified through
endurance.
NSM,
I think
NASM, yeah.
a lot of the different organizations talk about this, though,
Yeah.
right? The periodization, when you think linear, it's like the first thing you work on with people is stability and balance.
Yeah, yeah,
And the second thing is muscular endurance. And then it gets into all the other pieces of the puzzle,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
But this would really be a precursor to a lot of those things. If you don't have this, this is going to come first.
yeah, for sure. These are like kind of like the building blocks of, getting in better health.
Yeah. And another harsh reality is joints that don't move well will age faster.
Mm-hmm. You don't use it, you lose it.
100% accurate. And that's why we
Okay.
are big on using different systems like the functional range conditioning protocols around cars and expanding joint range of motion and using your full active range of motion and connecting the gap between that and your passive. So
Yeah.
if you tuned into the episode with Coach Brian, we're going to have him on again relatively soon.
So you and Brian could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, and we'll get into this deeper on another episode, but CARS stands for controlled articular rotations. So if you're watching the video version of this, that would mean me taking my shoulder, which is a ball and socket joint, through a full articular joint range of motion with control. So you see people do like arm circles and they're swinging things around. It's actually slowing it down and creating that connection with your brain and your joints to stabilize everywhere else and only move through that one joint.
Yeah.
And you can do that at literally every joint.
All your joints. Yeah.
So if you have a joint issue, say a hip or a knee or a shoulder, get on YouTube. Our YouTube channel has some too.
Yeah. So you and Brian have recorded
We've
a lot
recorded
of
quite a few different options.
yeah.
So get on there and check it out. But if you can't find it on our channel, you'll find it somewhere on YouTube. Just type in CARS in whatever joint you're looking for, and that's a really good place to start.
Or let us know so then we can go record it and you can find it on our channel.
That's true too. We have most of the major joints on our
so you
channel.
guys have probably recorded
Yeah, between
almost
stuff
every
I've
major
recorded way
joint.
back in the pandemic days in the
Yeah.
garage, but also between stuff that him and I have curated for the community here.
Yeah.
It's probably online
Yeah,
on
for
our
sure.
on our YouTube page.
So, I mean, in terms of mobility and working on balance and stability, just like we mentioned with strength training and cardio, how often should you be doing that? What does that look like? How do you incorporate it?
I think it depends on where you're at, what you need.
Yeah.
My answer will always be it depends.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there is no black and white, one size fits all.
Yeah. Let's pick do I do stuff every day?
Yeah. I think a big one is making sure that you do it in like little micro dosed spurts. That may mean that in the morning when I wake up, I go through a little yoga flow, like a sun salutation.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, maybe when I'm, getting tired at my desk or bored, I get up, I take a lap around the office building
Mm-hmm.
or the house, wherever you're working from. And then I do like 10 minutes of cars. You can go through a full body cars routine in
Yeah.
5 to 10 minutes, which we have a video on YouTube for. Another plug. But Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Or post
That's a great
workout,
place to do
right?
it.
Is like just do a little bit of mobility before you get into your workout, or after you finish your workout, do some mobility.
One of my favorite ways to do that, especially if you're someone who can get lost in that, because I know it's easy. I was just talking to a client this morning who I've worked with for a long time, and she was discussing how, like, I find myself in the gym spending 20, 30 minutes getting warmed up before I do things, and I get to feeling really good on it, but then I've run out of time on the back end to get what I needed to in the workout. And it's like, yeah, I feel good, but I didn't get to challenge myself as much. If you're someone who's limited on time, which is 9 out of 10 people,
Yes.
then sprinkle it in and set a timer on your phone or your watch for like 10 minutes. Say, I got 10 minutes and I'm going to be in tune with my body and listen to what I feel like I need.
Yeah.
My hips feel like they're kind of tight. Let me try these two stretches. I'll do those for 60 seconds a piece. And now I'm 4 minutes in. My shoulders feel kind of tight. Let me stretch out my chest or my back or my ankles or whatever it might
Yeah.
be, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's small doses and you really don't need more than 5 to 10 minutes at a time. If you can do that once, twice, 3 times a day, and you do that regularly, you're talking about 15 to 30 minutes a day. And that's a really small percentage of your time to keep the one vehicle you get moving.
Yeah.
Think of like a tune up for your car.
Yeah.
You don't typically, I'm horrible at this, but you don't typically want to, in the middle of the winter, turn your car on and go. You know, you get a lecture from any car people. They're like, let your car warm up. And
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think people do the same thing with their
with
bodies.
with workouts, to just come and get started right away. It's like, cool, do a little bit of focused movement and work before you get into the
Yep.
bulk of your exercise. So I know you said 1, 2, 3 times a day, and that might sound kind of daunting for some people, but like once a day is fine.
Five
Two,
minutes every day.
5 minutes, and every other day you hit a different joint if you have to, right?
Yep.
You don't have to hit everything if it just doesn't make sense for you. Do some intentional mobility and stretching once a day.
Yep.
Better than nothing.
And let's say that your challenge isn't so much that you're like tight or stiff and you don't need to improve your mobility so much as you do more your balance. That is so simple. You can be in the line at the grocery store and just stand on one leg.
Yeah.
You might get some looks, but if you just barely pick your foot up, most people won't pay any attention to it. But you can practice balance anywhere and everywhere on any unorganized scale of time and consistency.
Yeah.
If your balance is not great, start with your feet split instead of on one leg. Try that. If you need something else to kind of put your fingertips on to hold on to that, then graduate to one leg. If you want to go really further down the line of like balance for performance, stand on one leg and try closing your eyes and see
Yeah.
if you can do that. And these are things that just have to be consciously done consistently. Once again, like anything, in order to hit all of these non-negotiables, you have to figure out which ones are the biggest limiting factors for me, put them in order of priority, and then just schedule out time like you would anything in your life.
Yeah, for
When I
sure.
need to get groceries, I know I'm going to go do that on Sunday at 1 o'clock. When I need to practice my balance work, that's going to be 5 minutes in the morning when I wake up. I'm going to spend 2.5 minutes balancing on my right leg and balancing on my left leg.
Yeah.
It
Like,
really
don't
does,
overcomplicate it,
for
right?
sure. It does not have to be rocket science.
Yeah.
Other things too, it's not just like doing cars, but even just getting in deep ranges of motion to expose your body to those movement patterns, right? Like sitting in a deep squat and just getting comfortable, relaxing in a deep squat is one of the best things in the world for your knees, hips, and ankles.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging from a bar, even if you can't hang with your whole body weight, have your toes on the ground and use your legs for what little you need. But that is great for decompressing your body, your
Mm-hmm.
spine, building strength and stability in your shoulders. You can do thoracic rotations, which would be laying on your side and just twisting your body open like an open book.
Mm-hmm.
Walking is even a form of mobility and balance too, you
Yeah.
know? So that's where you can marry in, like some of these things cross over. Mobility and strength, they are really the same thing, just different intentions and different intensities.
Yeah.
Balance and conditioning, those are really the same thing, just different intensities.
Yeah.
So yes, we're isolating them into specific categories, but they carry over. They all support one another.
Yeah, they all are cohesively working together,
Yep.
which is why we've picked them.
Correct. Number 4.
Lifestyle and stress management. It's obvious you need to manage those things as you age.
Yeah, and we just recently had an episode with Liz Wolfe about stress management and how it's like someone telling you to like, you need to manage your stress better. It's like, F you.
You're like,
Come on.
thank you.
I understand that. So we'll try to keep it more practical because I think it is tough sometimes to hear someone say like, you need to manage your stress better. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. How
You know
do
what
I
I
do
mean?
that? What does that mean? Yeah.
And it's not so much like, hey, you need to go meditate and calm down and slow down and light a candle and sit in a bath and do whatever you
Those
need to do
things are
there.
great.
They are fantastic, and they will help with and get a massage
Yeah, yeah.
and go for a long walk on the beach or whatever it might be. Yes, those things can help reduce stress, but we're talking about this big collective umbrella of stress,
Because you
like
have,
we talked about in the past around just the general principles
well,
of what we do.
almost everything in your day to day is stressful in some way or another, physical, mental, right?
Nutritional.
Nutritional.
Yep.
Yeah, like you're constantly stressing your body or your mind in one way or another. So how do you handle that and manage it so it doesn't overwhelm you or you feel regulated with it, right?
Correct.
So,
Biggest one is sleep.
yeah,
You just got to think about what is the most intentional time to rest and recover. It is when your body is legitimately not awake.
yeah.
When you're sleeping, it's your chance. We've talked about this before, but balancing hormones, muscles
Hunger
recovering,
cues.
hunger cues,
Yeah.
all these different things. So if you're not getting enough sleep, attack that first. 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night is great. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, that's not being in bed for that time. That's actually being asleep for that time.
Mm-hmm.
Your best bet is, if you don't have some type of tracker, which is not necessary for tracking sleep, to see where you're at, I would plan an extra 30 to 60 minutes in bed to get that necessary amount. So if you want 7 hours of sleep, you should be in bed for probably closer to 7.5 to 8 hours,
Yeah, yeah, you got to give yourself time to fall asleep. So I
especially if
think,
you have young kids,
yeah,
because you're getting up in the middle of the night for sure.
I think it's about setting consistent going to bed and wake up times
Yeah.
so your body gets used to like, well, this is when I sleep. This is my body naturally starts to wind down at this time, and that's where creating a routine in the evening can get your mind right and ready for sleep so you can get the most out of calming down as quickly as possible, decompressing from the day mentally so you
Yep.
can actually fall asleep when you want to.
Yep. And then nutrition's a big one too. And as much as you may have the craving to emotionally manage stress by eating that pint of ice cream or that
Yeah.
whole chocolate bar or bag of Oreos or whatever it might be, that is actually going to add more stress to your body in the back end from what happens physiologically after you consume those things.
Yeah.
Your blood sugar spikes, your body has a hard time regulating and processing, digesting that. That's stress too.
Also, doing that right before bed impacts your sleep because then your body's busy digesting and it's not actually like resting and recovering like it should be.
Yeah. So if you feel like you are the type of person that feels stressed at the end of your day, you're getting hunger cravings, that's a stereotypical, like, my cortisol is a little bit out of whack, and
Mm-hmm.
you have late hunger cravings or you have a hard time getting yourself wound down to go to sleep, it just takes making an adjustment and subbing out. This is great for the replacement game we've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
Replace those snacks with something that is a little bit lower in calories or sugar. I think about those little rice cake crisp things that you got
I
the other day.
just got those this week. This is something new that I
I
tried.
know, but I'm just like, it's an example, right?
No,
Or
yeah.
one square of dark chocolate instead of something else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Finding something to give you that satisfaction of, okay, I curbed that sweet tooth with one little square of dark chocolate, and then you go brush your teeth. Or I know something when I've been in like a cutting phase or a weight loss phase before is drinking like tea in the evening or just having something else to like do, like
Yeah.
physically like sip on or
Because a lot
drink
of
or
times it's almost like
handle or
boredom.
hold. It is or habitual. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, we'll replace that ice cream with like a cup of tea
Or some
that
Greek yogurt.
it's got flavor,
Yeah.
it gives you something to do, but like calorie wise, it's more manageable.
And it's interesting because you'll hear a lot of these things in regards to us helping people with weight loss or muscle gain too, but all of this stuff supports one another, right? Like,
Yeah.
eating for longevity helps support building strength and losing fat.
And managing your weight and
Yeah.
preserving your muscle.
And managing weight and preserving muscle and building strength, those things are obviously like part of the non-negotiables for this piece of it too, right?
Yeah.
The less unnecessary weight you have on your body, the less stressful it will be when you are trying to improve your longevity.
100%.
So having a better balance.
So sleep, nutrition.
I think another big one that maybe sometimes overlooked is just the value of relationships and purpose and daily structure around doing things that give you fulfillment.
Yeah.
When you talk about lifestyle and stress management, one of the best ways on the emotional side of that is to have people that you appreciate and you can enjoy being around. So finding a quality social circle is important. There have been studies from Harvard that said that they increase life expectancy by approximately 7 years And you hear a lot of people that struggle with depression and addiction and other things that have found outlets through exercise. And there are tons of studies coming out about how valuable exercise and community and having a healthier lifestyle supports depression, anxiety as much as an antidepressant and some of these,
Yeah.
big pharmacy drugs that are out there
Yeah.
managing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things where it's like, if you haven't found your purpose, maybe lean into your faith a little bit more. Maybe find a group of people that you can really
Connect with.
connect with and make you feel whole again. Because I think that piece of it's just as important as some of these other structural health and fitness
For sure. At
stereotypical
the end of the
things.
day, what's your purpose? What are you doing here? Why do I go about my day the way that I do? What's the reasoning behind it? And if you don't know that answer, then and that's okay, but maybe you try to start figuring it out.
Yep.
And you can use that through the different areas that you've mentioned,
Yeah, and therapy too. I know
yeah,
we've had other
therapy.
guests that have talked about therapy being major for breakthroughs in their life when they
Yeah.
struggle with.
Just that's somebody helping them work through what's the point,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
just figuring that out. Yeah.
These things will take you a lot further than supplements or other biohacks will. We had the episode where we talked about, all the different things around, you should cold plunge to reduce stress or sit in the
Yeah.
sauna or you should have protein coffee in the morning or whatever it might be, right? Now,
But
those things can help, but being brilliant at the basics, we will say time and time again, are going to take you a lot further.
yeah, especially if you're one just starting out and need to just get going in general, right?
Another one on the sleep side of this, we didn't talk about this a whole lot. Not just saying you need more sleep because those things are important, but some people are motivated more by the fear of losing something than they are by the opportunity to gain something.
Mm-hmm.
There have been studies that have shown adults who sleep less than 6 hours per night consistently have approximately 20% higher mortality risk. So not only is it important to be able to do those things to gain better management of your stress, but also if you want to improve the longevity of your life, you want to live longer and extend your health span, you need to sleep more. It is literally taking years off your life.
That is why mothers and parents of young children lose years of their life in the early days of
Yeah.
postpartum, not even, I mean, 2 years in, and we still have a almost 2-year-old that wakes up here and there.
Yep.
It's so hard to recover and do all the things that you want to do in life when you're sleep deprived. And if you're getting less than 7 hours of sleep regularly or 6 hours of sleep regularly, it's going to impact you in a lot of different
And we
ways.
haven't even touched on the mental performance side of
Well,
this too.
yeah, mental is huge with lack of sleep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a big thing too. I know we've talked a lot about the physical longevity, but if you want to be at the top of your game mentally,
Yeah.
all of these things that we talked about will help improve your mental performance equally as much, if not maybe even more than it will
Yeah.
physically.
Maybe that's why they say mom brain, because we're not sleeping
That's
and our
100% why they say mom brain.
our brains are not at full capacity.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Breath work, daily sunshine, like we
It
said, strong community, like those two things are big. Get out in nature is going to be a big one.
totally.
I know there's certain areas where times of the year it's not as convenient to get outside, but you can always bundle up. You can always cool off or
Yeah.
shorten up your intensity or duration of time outside.
What's that, like 1,000 hours outside throughout the year? So
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
live in environments where in the winter you're not outside for more than a little bit of time, it's try to get more
Double
outside
down
time.
during the
Yeah,
time you do
double
have.
down during the times that you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think altogether, the lifestyle side of it is so much more encompassing than just sleep and nutrition. I think that was the biggest thing I wanted to drive home here is that, the people that you surround yourself with, the time you get alone, the time you have in nature, that opportunity to recharge, I think is really the biggest one
Yeah.
is figuring out how do I put myself in a position to make sure that I'm getting a chance to recharge in addition to doing all the other things we discussed.
Yeah, definitely. So the 4 non-negotiables for longevity are strength training and muscle preservation, cardio and conditioning, proprioception and mobility, and lifestyle and stress management.
Yep. And the name of the game is not just more years, but quality of years.
Yeah.
I want to live a long time, but I also want to be capable of living a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last thing I ever want is to put myself in a position where the people that are still in my life at that point in time, I become a burden to them because they have to take care of me because I didn't do what was necessary for me to be able to be independent and on my own and not lean on somebody else to be able to help me just live day to day.
Yeah.
So the name of the game is build a body and a life that keeps up with you. That's the goal. So hopefully these things helped you guys out. Do you have anything else you want to add before we close it up for the day?
I don't think so. I think we hit all the major points. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week.
This episode of the Higher Form podcast is powered by Avexia Health and Performance, your home for smart training, simple nutrition, and real accountability. Built to help you look, feel, and perform your best. Whether you're just getting started or chasing your next level, visit AvexiaKC.com to learn more and start building your higher form today.